My man,
Sure
how we
did.
doing?
We're doing good, bud. We're doing pretty good. Um, yeah, I've been on this spiritual odyssey, this saga for the last 2.5 months here in Tokyo, trying to make a lot of changes in my life, heal this chronic pain that I've dealt with for years, and realizing that that is connected to just healing emotionally and unpacking a lot of my personality and my upbringing and just my life. And that combined with the stage of being very much in the unknown of everything. And at this point, like this week, hit another bit of a hitch. Called you yesterday, broke down crying in my local shrine.
The best place to break down
Which was
crying.
it was a beautiful experience. I hope that little kid, fourth grader with the yellow hat, changed his life forever. Saw me crying there, foreigner on that bench. Um, yeah, bud, it's been a wild journey, especially because this isn't, or maybe it is, virtue signaling, but like I've been off of social media and like not drinking alcohol and really have none of my best friends here, and I've been like very much in this monk mode of just like healing and putting a lot of pressure on myself, not purposefully, but that's just kind of part of the personality that has actually created a lot of this chronic pain. It's just part of my nature, and it's something that I'm working with and trying to overcome in a way, or just understand. And so I feel like I'm in this pocket, or this, not a wormhole, but what would you call it? A vacuum. I don't know, of like my own just healing, and like so in my own head. I'm just like reading and trying to find a new job and publish a book and like keep up with my writing and stuff and just understand it all. And it gets the better of me sometimes. And this week kind of broke down, like I was saying, broke down to you. And yeah, man, it's like I was saying before this podcast, I'm like kind of feel unworthy to even do this podcast because I feel like I'm a bit out of sorts at this moment. But then realizing that this is exactly what the podcast is about. That's what it's for. It is to show people and to show us that it is by no means a linear and perfect journey doing anything meaningful in life, or just being a human being. There is victories, and there's many times you're gonna fall and feel kind of worthless and like angry, and it's just like overwhelming. And this is what's like dancing in the flames instead of just like looking back. And I look, part of me is like, I just want the freedom. I just want to be done with this. I want to be out of it. I want to be healthy and whole and perfect job and know exactly what I'm doing and just like cruising. But then it's just like, I don't know. Does anyone, I guess people get to that point, but there's always something. And realizing that this is, I mean, helped me a lot what you said yesterday, which I'll get to in a second, but realizing that this is very much the most beautiful part of the journey. I mean, as Freud says, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. And what you said yesterday, I was like trying to figure things out through the tears. like, um, like, what am I doing wrong? I feel like I'm putting so much pressure on myself and like working so hard, but I'm not getting, maybe I'm like working too hard. It's backfiring, or there's something I'm missing, or doing something wrong. And you're like, maybe this is like, you're not doing anything wrong. Maybe this is exactly how it's supposed to go. Like, this is just exactly part of the journey. You're supposed to go through these ups and downs, and that took a lot of weight off of me. Weight, weight off of me. Took a lot of weight off of me of just being like, wow, what if this is exactly how it's supposed to be? And I'm supposed to
Yeah.
supposed to be at this point right now where I'm just feeling completely. lost and a bit overwhelmed, and um this is part of it. And realizing, like, if I keep doing the same exact things and keep hitting the walls, like if I just push myself way too hard physically and I get sick again and again and again, I got to learn eventually, be like, okay, even if I want to keep going, because like my back is healing and it is actually getting better, so now physically I want to do more. Like I'm working out really hard and like worked out 7 days in a row basically. um and I think I got sick because I am not realizing that, like, I'm not accustomed to this yet, and not realizing that I need, like, mentally and emotionally, I need rest more than the physically, more than the physical. Like that is taking, I think, the most toll on me. Um, yeah,
I'll rudely interrupt you,
I'll start
like I
there
did
now,
before,
please.
by saying you saying that you don't feel worthy to record this podcast. I stopped you right there because that is the reason why we record this podcast, to show people that daring to dream and going after what you want most in life is not this linear path, like you said. It's not a neat staircase of up and to the right where everything's easy and attainable and smooth. It is often very difficult. It's a game of chutes and ladders. You think you're moving forward and then you get onto the space that sends you back 7 spaces. And I think that question of what if you are actually doing everything right? And this is what this chapter is supposed to look like, is really powerful. And whoever said that is brilliant. I don't know where that came from, but he must
I think
also
it
be
was
really
you.
handsome and have a great
Have a great
mustache.
mustache.
Beat you to it. And
I saw it coming.
this ties into what I really want to talk about is work. And are
Mm,
you working hard enough? Are you working too hard? There's a lot of guilt and shame that I know you have felt. I have certainly felt. And it is so easy to overdo it, especially if you are on social media or YouTube, or you subscribe to certain people who talk about pushing yourself beyond your limits, which is a tricky thing because I agree with that in some senses, but not all of them. And so tell everyone listening a little bit about what we talked about yesterday of you feel like you're working so hard and not
mm.
seeing the results from it.
Yeah. So I mean, like, since graduating college, this has kind of been my conundrum, which I think has also contributed to chronic pain. So basically, I've realized that, like, the chronic pain is not. So I've had 6 years of back pain, and I thought that it was physical this whole time, and I've been treating it physically. But I've realized, came to the understanding that I have what is called TMS. It's mind body syndrome, and it's when the brain is creating pain in your body to distract you from what's, like, truly going on within you. Um, so obviously, it's like the thing, have physical pain, so I want to treat it physically. I want to figure out what's broken in my body, but it takes form in thousands of ways. Like, for me, it could be back pain. For people, it's depression, anxiety, knee pain. It's like it's anything that's really unexplainable in the body. That's, it's easy to treat with the pill or to endless chiropractic sessions or anything, but it's not getting to the root of what's actually going on with you. And the brain is the most miraculous thing, and it actually does this. It creates physical pain because something is just out of harmony inside. And since I've realized this, I've taken a look at my own life and my upbringing, and a lot of it has to do with kind of your personality, and it's tends to affect people who are, like, very self-critical, perfectionists. They want to be good people, but then within them, there's this conflict that creates actual physical pain. And, if the brain makes me think I have back pain, then I'm so focused on that. And that's consumed my life for the last 6 years that it hasn't, it's distracted me from the bigger, I want to say problems, but the bigger, um, you know, the bigger patterns in your life. And a big one for me, the back pain started when I graduated college, and I started to get this feeling that I don't want to live an orthodox, not religious, not in a religious sense, but like I don't want to live a normal life. And I think this happened both to both of us simultaneously, which is why we started this podcast. And that's when the back pain started. It's when I started to, take more traditional approach to work and life, and I started getting pain because I knew I wanted to travel. I wanted to kind of create my own life and like brand and just have experiences and adventures. But I was doing work that I didn't want to be doing. Um, I loved writing, and I started and I was just blogging on the side, like on Medium. And I made a website, and I've been pursuing these things as if they're my career because they are, but I don't necessarily make a living from them yet, like videos and writing books and blogging. And I've known since graduating that this is what I want to do, but I haven't found a way to make it my full time career yet. Like I've had to have jobs basically in the meantime. And I've had back pain throughout the entire thing, and realizing that that is part of it. It's not the whole story, but not living your truth does create physical pain. Or just lying to yourself. I mean, it's the same thing, but
So let me jump in here real quick
yes.
because you're saying that the physical pain started when you graduated and
Mm-hmm.
pursued what felt like your truth.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're also saying that the pain can come from not pursuing the truth or being honest with yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
where does that play into this? And then we were also talking about yesterday how you're in a tricky situation because TMS says you should push through this pain. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with you. It's mental. And we were talking about if this is just overworking, overexertion, going to the gym too many days in a row and getting sick, then the advice would be to
Mm-hmm.
rest. And so
Right.
how do you know which one it is?
Yeah, bud. So yeah, it's taken me 3 months to learn all this stuff, so I'm trying to simplify it as much as I can. But so it comes from this guy, Dr. John Sarno. He's kind of the pioneer in mind body healing. He died like a few years back, legend, and he wrote 3 books on this: uh, healing back pain, the mind body prescription, and the divided mind. And so it kind of comes from, like, say there's this reservoir of repressed emotion in all of us. It like a big lake. There's 3 rivers that feed into it. It comes from childhood, kind of traumas and things that you have not properly processed and looked at. It comes from your personality and just your stressors in modern life. And you don't have to solve all these things by any means. You just have to kind of understand them and realize that the brain is distracting you from those repressed emotions with the physical pain. And so I believe that one end, I'm like in therapy and kind of tackling the childhood stuff because I did have a lot that I've not worked through from childhood. And I'm still very much working through siblings and just my, I kind of started storing energy in like my emotions as a kid. I would get like growing pains, which is kind of just like phantom pains that we think are like from growing, but are actually TMS. Um, I would not express my emotions as a kid. I would just kind of shut down, and I would get like stomach aches and headaches, and so it kind of started then. And the second thing is like personality. Um, so inside of us, it's like your conscious ego and your unconscious in this conflict at all times. And the ego says like this is kind of the person that you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be a good person. You're supposed to have a good job, treat people well, all this stuff. And then your unconscious, the id, which lives in all of us, is kind of this infant that just wants like immediate pleasure and just wants to be fed, and you know, and we don't know this stuff. Like this isn't something that we're consciously aware of, and we're like it's just happening inside of us at all times. And that kind of creates conflict. Like me, saw myself as like I see myself. I am like a happy person by nature and joyful and stuff. But I think part of me has kind of repressed that there is anger in me. There is like a lot of frustration, which comes from in large part of like what we were talking about yesterday, a feeling like I'm working so hard and not really seeing results, or like still getting beaten up for doing too much, or like, and over the years of like, I'm like, it's okay. Like, you know, you're doing the best you can. It's all happening exactly as it's meant to. But then underneath this this like unconscious part of me is like, I'm fucking pissed. I'm like so sick of this. You're working so hard and just, you're getting sick, and like, you're not finding the right job. And underneath the surface, like I feel this anger like bubbling up in me. And if you don't express that in some way, just even to yourself, if you don't acknowledge that there is anger and like pain in you, it goes into physical pain. And that becomes a distraction from that repressed emotion. And back to your first question, I was, I have been pursuing this stuff, but it has always been on the side. Like I've been very frustrated that I can't, I'm like, where's, where's the job? Like how do I make this? Like I love this thing. And I feel like I love it as much as like anyone my age who's like going for the life of like a writer and traveler and stuff. And then I see all these digital nomads who are just crushing it, apparently, on paper. But
Supposedly.
yeah, supposedly. I'm like, why? Like, what am I missing? What am I? But then I also realized I'm like, okay, and this is all part of the journey. I realize little by little that's not exactly the life I want. That's not it. That's not it. So I am like, what I want, I realize is it's it's for me. It's for me only. Like the thing that we go for is truly, I want what like nobody has made or created, and that's why I have to create it. And that's why it's fucking hard. If I may just read a quote from Kevin Kelly, who's um, founder of Wired magazine, and he's inspired me so much of on this journey. So he's full background, yeah. He's creator of Wired magazine, and he spent like his 20s just pretty much cruising around Asia as a photographer, and he created like a book series, a photo book series called Forgotten Asia, I think. That's better than that, but
Vanishing Asia, I think.
Vanishing Asia. Yeah, yeah. Nice. Vanishing Asia. And he says, my generic career advice for young people is that, if at all possible, you should aim to work on something that no one has a word for. Spend your energies where we don't have a name for what you are doing, where it takes a while to explain to your mother what it is you do. When you are ahead of language, that means you are in a spot where it is more likely you are working on things that only you can do. It also means you won't have much competition. Possible occupations that are ahead of our language would be person that sits with you when you are ill, storyteller for the company, AI whisperer, media fact check verifier, etc. Um, Second bit of counsel is anti-career advice, and it goes like this. Your 20s are the perfect time to do a few things that are unusual, weird, bold, risky, unexplainable, crazy, unprofitable, and look nothing like success, in quotes. The less this time looks like success, the better it will be as a foundation. For the rest of your life, these orthogonal experiences will serve as your muse and touchstone, upon which you can build an uncommon life. So it's like, I realize little by little, day by day, that that is kind of what I'm trying to do. Build an uncommon life where only I can make it. And that doesn't happen overnight. And it's often very frustrating and confusing, and like, because there's no path, obviously. So it's like, it's the path that I make with every step I take. It's breaking down in the shrine. Like that is that's part of the path. And um
Can I come in here? I have a lot to say on
Yeah.
this.
Did I answer any of your questions?
You did, you did, you did. So I really agree with Kevin Kelly on the doing things in your success, doing things in your 20s that don't necessarily look like success. And there's a piece of you need to be doing things that are in line with what you feel is right for that moment in your life. And I'll explain what I mean. I'm going to bring in another quote. This is from Freya India. She's an amazing writer out of the UK. She writes a lot about Gen Z and anxiety. And her
Hmm.
quote goes, "Try loving yourself, but I doubt you'll get far if you don't do anything to earn it." I read that right before this episode. And it really resonated with me because there was a time before I moved into this office where I'd be working at home. I'd be trying to have a good work life balance, and I'd be like, it's 3 p.m. I can go out for a surf. I don't have any calls booked. I can do that. I'm the creator of my schedule. But then I wouldn't enjoy it at all because the whole time I was like, I should be working. And I'm not a fan of shoulding all over yourself by saying I should be doing this, I should be doing that. But I do think that we each have this inner voice that's distinct from the inner critic. Your inner critic will always tell you to work more, work harder, work faster, sleep less, all the things. I think we have this inner voice, and maybe it was the id or the ego or one of those. You can speak to that in a moment, that actually does know what's best for you. And if you are doing things that you think you shouldn't be doing under the guise of I'm exploring, I'm finding myself, like deep down.
Hmm.
And you know when it's time to go sit down and work, and you know when it's time to give yourself some freedom to play.
Hmm.
And as I've moved into this office, my work hours are a lot more structured and normal. And I've found that it's way easier for me to give myself that afternoon off if I don't have anything booked, because I've almost proved to myself that I am doing the things I said I wanted to do.
Hmm.
I'm no longer in the gray zone of do I need to work harder? And we can get to that piece in a moment, because for the longest time I was like in this space of I just need to work harder and grind. And I'll let you jump on in here.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, I do think there is, like, I would call it the intuition. Like when you do I've been doing this meditation from Dr. Joe Dispenza, blessing the energy centers, and the one in the back of your head um, goes to the pineal gland, which is like just this ancient acorn shaped organ in the back of our brain, and it creates like hallucin- hallucinogenics and what would you call that? Hallucinations.
Yes.
And it makes us see things, and like it just connects you to this other world of energy. And some would say like that is foundation of reality, like just this true energy of what we are. And I call it the intuition, like that part. It and it also, the pit of your stomach. That's where like you truly feel if things are right or wrong. It's like, I just got this feeling in my stomach that this is not right, or that is what I believe is like the truest sense of self. And yeah, bud, it's been a kind of your second question before I didn't get to, of just knowing like what is TMS and what is not. It's complex, and I feel like I've been so disharmonious with my body for for my entire adult life. Um, so I'll break this down a little bit and kind of connect the questions. So my intuition has told me that I've been on my path this whole time. Like I know that what you said yesterday is correct, that this is exactly how it's supposed to go. And I'm trying to connect several thoughts here. So there's three parts of like the conscious of ourselves, basically. Self, capital S. There's the id, the unconscious, which is this infant that lives in all of us. It goes back to who we are as primates. It just wants like sex, food, sleep. It's just, Then there's the ego, which is kind of our public facing persona. It's it is the intermediate of the superego and the id. And the superego is kind of the pressure of society, it's culture. It is the voice that says, "Oh, you should be working harder because this is what." your buddies are doing. Like, this is what people your age are doing. You should be a good person because this is what good people do. This is what religion says. So it's the voice that is kind of critical and kind of superficial in a way. Where it's like, is that truly me? Is that me who wants to do this stuff? Because, or is it just because I'm supposed to do it? Because I think, and that's what kind of has been my nemesis on this journey. Because I'm like, the intuition, I feel like that tells me you are on your path. You you are a writer, like that you're doing the correct thing by moving and writing and pursuing this. But then that super ego is always like, you could be like Dan Coe and make money by writing online, and like, you know, these people who look successful and they're living the dream of writing online that I compare myself to. That's like the super ego. It's like, we're shooting all over myself.
So the superego is like that harsh inner critic, and it sounds like
Mm-hmm.
self with capital S is the truth, the intuition.
I'd say so. So super ego is like the parent, the id is like the kid, and id is German for it. So it's just like, just this, I don't know why he called it that, but just the it, the little childlike seed in us. The super ego is the parent, and the ego is kind of an intermediary of the two, and that's who's talking right now. That's kind of trying to always balance the two of like, I know I just want to be lazy and lay in bed, but no, I'm supposed to work today, so I gotta go to work. So it kind of balances the two, and hopefully your intuition shines through, and it's like, okay, what do I truly, what am I actually feeling here? What do I actually want? So I think my intuition has guided me on this path. It's brought me to Japan. It has brought so much joy and like everything good in my life. But I'm constantly battling the super ego and just the the shoulds. And I think, like what we were talking about yesterday, kind of angry at myself in a way for like, for working so hard and not getting those, just not understanding more, and like not being, um yeah, just kind of still feeling a bit lost in it all. But
Yeah. Well, if
yeah.
it's going to look anything like my coaching journey has looked, I spent a lot of time in that this is really hard. It shouldn't be this hard. Why is this so hard? I should be further along, angry at myself for not being further along. So if it's anything like that, I don't know if that's helpful or
Hmm.
harmful, but
Not bad,
you are
definitely helpful.
close. You are really
Thanks,
close.
man.
And that's what I've been curious about because I was telling you this yesterday on the phone. Like things have been, do you have something before I go there?
um no, just realized I still haven't really talked about how to realize what's TMS or not, but I'll get to it.
That's okay. We'll
Yeah,
come back to
sorry.
that. We talked about this on the phone, realizing that things seem to be going better than they've ever gone before. And I'm
Hmm.
working less. And maybe it's not less from a quantity standpoint, but it feels less heavy. It feels less intense. Things are just easier at the moment. And I was
Hmm.
telling you, I don't know if this is because I reached a tipping point and I grinded and smashed my head against the wall for so long that finally something tipped over and now there's some momentum, or is it actually going better because I'm not slamming my head against the wall? And
Hmm.
it's again, we're going to have a lot of these questions, these Zen questions that have no answer. But I'm thinking a lot about that because the advice on the internet is work 15 hours, 9 days a week, and things will
Hmm.
turn out great. And it seems to me where I'm at in this chapter of my life, slowing down and like trying to listen to that inner voice has really
Hmm.
helped.
Definitely. Yeah, that those are the questions that it is hard to know for sure. It's like, something has brought me to this point, and now that I'm here, what is, I mean, something's going better, and like it's hard to see what the actual change was. In retrospect, you could kind of align things more, but I was listening to Alan Watts last night just to kind of calm me down, and like, just, he's great. I mean, one of the big ones that I was listening to is just like, don't take life so seriously. And I'm like, 100%. It feels like I'm taking life so seriously right now because I don't blame myself for that. Like, it feels so heavy, and it's been tough. Like, dealing with physical pain every day and trying to overcome it and like putting this pressure on myself and wanting to be so good in like multiple fields or just in life. Just want to be improving, but like just losing the joy, I feel like, in a sense. Like I've lost that part of it, and part of it being with myself is tough, and like I wish I could just take a weekend and just like go backpack with my friends. I can a little bit. I'll go alone. I can't. I still am meeting up with some friends, but like I miss you guys for sure. And yeah, dude, it's been harder for me to get out of my own head and like just laugh about it all when it's like only me going through it. And like so lucky to have like, you and my best friends to call whenever I want. But like, yeah, it's just for the most part to be going at it. But um, I think that yeah, the just realizing that when the joy, like you were saying yesterday, like follow the joy, you know, and that is also very helpful. Of when it does get like waking up today, I'm like, these just another thing that's kind of different. I don't know, just these complex little things about living in Japan. Another thing was just like keeping me up, and about getting a job. And I was like, dude, just like none of this stuff really mattered. Like it was just the mind was just racing. Like as I was waking up in the morning, I'm like, this is not what you need. Like, none of this stuff really matters. Like zooming out of your life 10 years, like the little just insignificant things that get you going, they mean nothing. And it's all like the super ego and like these things that are supposed to be so important just because, and this was like part of the Alan Watts stuff, is just because like it's so ingrained in us that it's supposed to be important. Like who says we're supposed to work our whole, like who says work is the most meaningful, should be the most meaningful part of our lives? It's just because it is the way we make money. It's the way we signify our significance and our worth. And like, it's how we show ourselves that we're worthwhile. It's how we show others that we are doing something important and that we're part of society. But that's, if we actually if we actually stop and like ask ourselves, what, what are we doing this for? Truly, what is it for? Like, that's not the only thing. And for me, it's been hard to like break my, like just get out of that mentality of like I haven't found a job that in Tokyo yet, and I'm like I feel worthless until I have. And like why is that? And like even though like I was saying yesterday, like working so hard on this other stuff, like pretty much 24/7, like writing and I don't know other stuff. I'm like, why do I still feel so like inhuman? Like I'm not like a responsible human being. Um, I'm not contributing to society, or like I'm doing something. It feels like I'm doing something wrong. Like
Mm.
I'm really doing something wrong in life that I'm not. Just I haven't figured it out.
Which is crazy if we really zoom out and think about it, because the only thing that's going to change is external outputs or things behind the scenes. Like you're still going to be writing books, you're still going to be writing articles, and the only thing that will change in the future is more eyeballs, more money from those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. yeah, it's like what does it take to like feel like we are worthwhile? And like, is it doing more? And as I'm like doing these meditations, like just trying to understand myself, I can feel like the center of me, just like energy that's like painless. It just like wants to be free. Like that's what's true. It's like so much shit on top of it. Like just trying to understand it. Yeah. Uh, but
It's like I'm having one of these moments where it feels like there's a glitch in the matrix because you are saying that you feel unworthy doing these things that you know to be your gift, your path. And it's not like you're bad at any of these things. Like you are an amazing writer and you're supposed to be doing this. And yet the mind convinces us, oh, let me just go get a job doing something that I really don't like, that I'm probably not that great at, but it's just going to pay me money and pay the bills. And somehow that's going to feel more worthy. That's going to make me and you feel more worthy because now I'm contributing, I'm earning. And it's
yeah,
just so crazy to think about that you could do the opposite of your calling and feel better just because you're getting paid for it.
for sure. And that is like the trap we're in. And it's like, it's easy for me to say this stuff like, I have money that like I could just live off of right now. And while I'm like trying to figure this shit out and like so grateful for it, but like obviously, but still, we're still all in this trap. Like you could be in my position and be in it just as much as somebody who's like working their ass off with a family and feels like everything's going like they're on the other end of the spectrum, like they are contributing and I say contributing as like paying their dues. I don't know, paying their taxes, which I do, but they still might feel something missing, and very well. And it's the same thing. It's like just coming at understanding and trying to understand why we're on this earth from two different sides of the spectrum, in a sense. And there's nothing wrong. Like I want to be. Obviously, this journey has been like trying to meld what I love like with my career and trying to make it my career. But like, yeah, just it is a bit of a glitch in the matrix. I think honestly that like it's actually crazy. I think society is really going through what I'm going through on like a grander and a slower scale. Like I feel like things are changing and like I mean hopefully this connects with people that are feeling the same way of like people are tired of what I'm explaining and like what we're talking about of like just feeling worthless and like that life is deprived of meaning from doing this thing we're supposed to do, but then like what are we truly here to be doing with our time on Earth? And it's a big question there, but I mean that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out. Like, what am I actually doing? Why do I feel so confused and like overwhelmed and lost in a way, because of these things I'm experiencing? And like what you were saying before, like, um, I don't know, it's like my back. I've, in a sense, solved that puzzle. I'm not, I still have like sensations and stuff, but it's like it's better than it's been in the last year for sure, and it's getting better. Like I know now that it is not physical, and the more that I stop thinking physically, like, oh, how do I fix my back? What do I got? Like, I just kind of gotta get back to living life. It's gonna keep getting better, but um, it's not the end of the it's not the end of the battle. Like these TMS symptoms can really be anything, and I feel like it could get worse before it gets better. Like I feel like that's kind of what's happened to me right now. It's like extinction burst, like dinosaurs or um, I think actually they talked about this dinosaurs with Martha Beck, which we could talk about. She talked about with like pigeons. If you feed them, they'll keep coming back, and then if you stop feeding them, they'll go crazy and like start a war to try to get food from you. Then eventually they'll just give up. Like, okay, I guess they're not getting it anymore. And that with TMS healing, it's called extinction burst as well. Like you're kind of near the end when shit just hits the fan, and this could be with like anything in life. Like night gets darkest before the morning. Um, so I feel like maybe I think that is what's happening with me. It's kind of just like my whole life is blowing up before it officially heals more or less.
You are
Not
in
everything, but
what's called the beautiful destruction. It actually is a phase of life where everything explodes and melts and breaks down before the greatness. So welcome.
oh, it's a good place to be. Beautiful destruction. That's a good time for the episode.
That is really. I mean, and again, I am by no means qualified to say any of this, but that's also a theme of the podcast. But I feel like because you are in it, in this beautiful destruction, it has to mean that the regrowth, the rebirth is coming next. Because if you think about it, like things are always worst right before they get better. When you start
Yeah.
off, you have a lot of energy, you have a lot of optimism, you have a lot of naive optimism about this time it'll be different, this time it won't be hard. This is the easy way to become an overnight success. And then you get into the dip or the valley of despair, which a lot of people talk about, where you
Mm-hmm.
realize, oh crap, this is just like all the other things. It's going to be really hard. And I
Yeah,
think you are on the upward trend out of the dip, out of the valley of despair.
I think so. It's amazing how, like, I think this conversation is like another step out of it. Like, every day there are opportunities to truly change our lives. And it's like, it's another Alan Watts thing. Like, all we are is where we are right now. At this moment, this is everything. I was thinking about the past, thinking about the future. And I'm just like so caught up in wanting to heal and do all this stuff. It's like, there is, it's all meaningless, truly. It's like, what are you feeling? What are you doing right now? Um, yeah, it's wow, beautiful destruction. It's a good book title too. Jesus, that could be like, it's a real concept.
That's a true concept. I heard it from a man named Vishen Lakhiani. I'll send you some
Vision.
stuff.
Yeah,
Vishen, we haven't thought about that guy in a while.
Dude, he rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. This latest stuff about Mind Valley just got a little, uh,
Way
what do you
too
say?
snake oil salesman for
Salesy.
me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, 100%. Like, I mean, it just feels so good to laugh and cry. This is what it's all about. If you like, I think that's so helpful to understand. Like, it always does hit the fan before it gets better, and it has to. Like, if things and I feel like I do keep hitting these highs. Like on this journey, there's most definitely high points. Like last week, it's when I worked out 7 days straight because I was just like, just just flowing and feeling good, hitting the park. Just like I was sending in job applications and just like I was like, I'm back. And then it's like I overdid it. Or they say with my TMS coach is like, you're not overdoing it. Like if you could do it, it's not overdoing it. You're just not used to it, and then you feel upticks in like your sensations and stuff, and you're like, oh, I did too much. It's like, no, you're conditioned to think that now because you think that like you are fragile, and it's like you didn't overdo it. So I'm kind of working with that as well. Just like, and what you said yesterday, it's like, is working out 7 days straight bad if it's coming from a place of joy and like you just you just want to do it? I think also maybe I do have to be a little more strategic and not go balls to the wall.
And just a little context on that was I was saying
Yes.
normally, at least for myself, I can only speak from my own experience. If I overdo it and get sick, like I know going into it that I really don't want to go to the gym that day or I shouldn't do this thing and I just whip myself through it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's never, I don't think I've ever overdone it when the last session that pushes me over the line was fun and happy and light. It's normally
Yeah.
like, God damn it, you have to get this done. You said you would. And then that's when the wheels fall off. So that's
Dude,
where I was going with if it is truly joyful and playful, I don't see how.
honestly, I think I'm putting too much pressure on like the physical, or like just too much spotlight. I think it's emotional stuff that's like taking its toll mentally. Like it's like you said, you're like the spiritual odyssey. It doesn't seem like it's been very restful. Like yeah, and it hasn't really been. Like emotionally, I say more mentally. It's just been very mentally taxing of like battling myself and trying to, find which voice is like my intuition versus the voice that's made me believe that I've been broken for the last 6 years that I'm pushing against now. And that's why it's tough. And like you said, I'll answer this question now of like, how do you know when it's TMS? And I could totally see, I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, if you haven't had it like in this deeply, like if you haven't had like back pain or something that's I by all means it's obvious and like I can see how it's like, well, like how do you know you're not just how do you know it's not just physical, or how do you know it's not you just need rest? And I'm like, that totally makes sense. Like it and you said if you didn't tell me anything about TMS, like I would just say, dude, you just need to rest. Like you're just sick. You are ill. And I'm like, yes, I 100% can see that. But the brain is a tricky one. It's a trickster. And I've I've now like I've seen the evidence of like no like seeing how the back pain has been. I've thought that's physical, and then I like change my by attacking it by like in the last week. Last week was the first week that I stopped everything that I was doing before to heal from back pain. A few years ago, I was doing like a morning routine, a foundation workout to like strengthen the low back and stretch. And I started to do that again recently because I'm like, oh, I might as well just like make it strong again. Like this is good insurance basically for back pain. Because like at the end of the video, guys, like do this every day, no back pain ever. And it's like, oh, yeah, I'll just do this and I'll ensure myself that I'll have no future back pain. I was still doing some of the stretches that I like had learned and stuff. And then this kind of woman who's been guiding me on this journey, this kind of spiritual journey, is like, no, like you have to stop all of that because there's neurocircuitry in your brain when you do that stuff. Even if on the surface you think it's not because you're doing it to heal back pain, it connects with those you know parts of your past that was doing it because it thought you were broken. So underneath in my unconscious, it's like, oh, you're still okay. We still got you. That this is the brain. It's like I still got you. You are still doing this because you're scared. It comes from fear. Like I was totally lying to myself, not on purpose, but like I realized that I was lying to myself because I was afraid. I was like, oh, I'll just keep doing this because I was like, I just don't want to have back pain again, and that's fear. In reality, the back is like the strongest muscle group in our body. It keeps us standing, and it should not be in pain. It should not be treated differently from any other part of the body. Shoulders, I'm not doing stretches all day to strengthen my shoulders. I'm not doing knee stuff all day. We think because our society is so conditioned to believe that um like pretty much chronic back pain is all TMS, and we're so conditioned to believe it's from sitting, it's from like our modern just way of life, that is the cause of back pain, and it just perpetuates you know people making money off of it. It's a very lucrative industry. um that we think that like the back is so fragile and that we have to be treating it, and that you can't sit, like you can't sit the way you like, and you have to like stretch every third. It's like, no. Why have we been sitting for the last hundreds of years and back pain is like a relatively new thing? It's because I don't know, I'm getting into the weeds of it a bit, but this is the conditioning that I have to break. And so now, to know when it is TMS or not with the back, it's like I pretty much have to just get back to I have to create new neuro circuitry in my brain. Like that's why I created a whole new workout program, and I can't do any of the stuff that I was doing before. And last week, like back pain pretty much went away. It was
Wow.
like the weeks before that, I would do the hard workouts. It was kind of like old college workouts, like the ones you sent me. And then I was still doing some like back stretches and stuff like at the gym. I was still kind of treating it a little bit. And then I had kind of this talk with Diana, this woman, and she's like, you got to stop all that. Like that is why you haven't like fully healed yet. And I did. And like the back pain pretty much like went away. And that is, I mean, like it's insane. And I'm almost hard on myself for not for not being like so just in awe that the back I'm actually getting out of back pain, because life is life is still life. Um, but dude, it is actually fucking healing, and it's miraculous. And it's because of this knowledge. But so I guess that's kind of the proof. The proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And I want to go back to something you said right before that about putting all this pressure on yourself and how the spiritual odyssey has been very emotionally taxing and mentally exhausting. And from the outside looking in, you're doing something that is very human, something that I have done many a time. And it's this pressure or expectation we set for ourselves to come back from a period of whatever, a period of
Mm-hmm.
travel, a period of rest, a period of monk mode, to come back as Superman. I mean, we were talking about it
Yeah.
yesterday. Like, you want to come back jacked and tan and wise and rich and successful and have 7 girlfriends. And
Exactly.
dude, it makes me think of when we studied abroad in Florence, Italy, 2016. We were there for 4 months. And I
2015.
remember like halfway through the trip, was it 2015?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Like halfway through the trip,
Sorry.
I started eating a ton of spinach. And like we were going to that stinky old gym and I was like, I'm going to come back so shredded and so cultured and like all these things. And
Yeah,
I just ruined my experience. I just put so much pressure on myself. And then you come home and you're
dude,
trying to be all different and edgy and I'm wearing my leather jacket and no one cares. And then I stopped caring like a week later.
it's unbelievable, man. Oh God, dude, that brings up a lot. I mean, I was the same way. I was sick all the time because I was trying to stay so fit. This was before the back pain. I was in college. I was like just pushing myself so hard and like trying to keep up this same like lifestyle from before in this totally new place where I should have just been like eating pizza and drinking wine and frolicking in the fields of Firenze. But I was like just hitting the gym and like going on. I mean, it just could have been more balance. Like you could definitely still be going to the gym, but then just enjoying the shit out of it. And we did too. But it's funny how we were both just like, yeah, doing that, going hard. And dude, honestly, I'm thinking it's stress that does me in more than the physical. It's both, but like because that was a stressful time, relationship wise, and stuff in my life. I think that's what was kind of getting to me. But what you're saying of like, dude, coming back, 100%, like put so much pressure on myself of like exact. I gotta be healed. I gotta be my book published, new job, fucking yeah. And it's like I'm almost like I almost hope. Well, I don't hope, but like just the. I hope none of that happens now. It's like I want to come back and just be like what's changed? Nothing. And like that is just more of a weight off my shoulders. I feel like I mean, so much more will change without the expectation. And obviously a lot has changed, but like just the expectations, they just, they leave you dissatisfied. If you go into it and be like, I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't need to have any solution. I don't need to find the answer. But how can I just like enjoy this time? I just kind of just rest, rest a
For
bit more
sure.
in
I
it.
mean, I think you're spot on with the stress. And I think that's what I was failing to articulate earlier is that objectively, I'm probably working just as hard or harder than I was, but I'm not stressed about it. And for some
Mm-hmm.
reason, well, not for some reason, for all of the reasons, that makes it feel so much easier and like I'm working less. And it's just, I find myself being way more grateful these days than that like striving, have to do it all energy.
Yeah,
So finding a way to release your stress in any way and just take some of that
yeah.
pressure off. I mean, that is your favorite phrase.
Take
Release
the
the
pressure
pressure,
off.
take the pressure off. And I
Yep.
think it's your self with a capital S desperately trying to
Oh
tell you
yeah,
and remind you.
100%. It's I mean, it's always me trying to remind myself that because that's what I need. That's what I need the most. Like, yeah, I'm sick of having to break down to like realize this stuff. I'm sick of like having hit a wall before. It's like I could reset again and like somehow take the pressure off. I gotta just like I don't want to say try to find the balance more, but I guess in a way I do that, or just take the pressure off.
Or do
It is
nothing
stress,
different
man.
than
Or
exactly
do
what you're
nothing
doing.
different. Yeah, that could work too. It could work too. This new understanding, dude. I mean, it's 100% stress. That is the killer emotionally. And we don't realize that you could be sitting there not doing anything and like be working yourself into the ground mentally, just overthinking and trying to figure things out. And
And I think that's why I'm so against maybe we bring everything together with this. I wanted to talk a lot more about the grind culture online. We touched on it a little bit, but I think
Mhm.
that's why it's so bad to just be on YouTube and
Toxic.
social media and listening to these people say that you have to do it this way because it might be super fun and playful and easy for them to do this thing, but for you, it might be super stressful and damaging.
Hmm.
And just because it works for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Like the more I learn about life and everything, and the more people that I work with in executive and leadership coaching and life coaching, like the more I'm realizing that no one else can give you advice. You
Mm.
have to listen to what is true for you and find what works for you, because what works for me might not work for you.
Interesting. How do you, as a coach, how do you implement that philosophy and also guide people? Like, what are you trying to guide them towards then? If like, if no one could give you advice, so then what is the aim of
The
that
aim is
coaching?
to help them discover their own guidance, to help
Mm.
them figure out what it is that works for them through action, through questioning, through testing things, through experimentation. It really
Right.
is the only direction I'm guiding people is toward themselves.
That's what I figured. Beautiful. Yeah, dude. It's as someone posting on YouTube and stuff. I mean, as we clearly have a podcast here, like every, I think, how do I say this? It's like, it's not just to like get clicks and stuff, but everyone's kind of talking to themselves with these videos. It's like how to get jacked. It's a very straightforward video, how to get jacked. But it's like, the guy's not trying to actually teach people how to get jacked. He's trying to show that he got jacked and somehow gain a following from it. And it what he did will by no means, like, I mean, it could work for you, but like, to take everything, yeah, like you're saying, just as like, this is the answer, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like we're saying, it's the super ego of like just the shoulds, and our whole lives are just online. It's so many shoulds, just comparisons, and you should be like this person, you should be doing that, and no one's got any clue. Me, you, we got no clue. Dr. Seuss over here.
I
But
think I want to push back on that a little bit. The
come on
not
in.
the not the no clue part, because I totally agree with that. I think it was in that Martha Beck episode that she said the only true thing you can ever say is I don't know.
Mm,
I think that depends who we're talking about. I think there are people on the internet trying to teach other people how to get jacked who really do care and they really do want to help other people, but and they're trying their best. They're trying
right,
their hardest and their advice might not
of
work for some
course.
people, but it will work for others. But again, it's we're all trying to live into our purpose and our mission. And I've come to view advice as a less useful tool than
Hmm.
questioning and curiosity and just being with people as they unpack their own thoughts and emotions. Because giving advice feels super good. Makes you feel
Hmm.
like you're a hot shot who has it all figured out, but it's less useful because maybe it hits 4 out of 10 times, but the other 6 people, it's actually not for them and it's
Hmm.
hurtful and harmful.
Right. Yes. Thank you for saying that. That was a blanket statement for sure. There are lots of people. Because, dude, we're all human. It's not like people are doing it maliciously for the most part, of like, oh, dude, yeah, I'm just trying to get jacked and get these followers. It's like, all right, I did this thing. I'm a human. I'm trying to understand myself, and let me share. Let me share how I did it. Hopefully, I can help people. I think that's probably the more often than not. Um, and yeah, we're all trying to figure out this journey, and it's like, it's hard when you feel it's like, oh, that person figured it out. They did it. They figured out the thing in life, and then you're like, what the hell am I doing? And that's like, I think that's most of us, of like just comparison. But then that person too, who you think has figured it out, is thinking the same exact thing. It's a never ending, perpetual circle. Um, and yeah, dude, it's just crazy being human and realizing that, yeah, all the people you see on YouTube and stuff, like they go through the same stuff, and yeah, what works for other people just might not be your jam. It doesn't have to be.
If it were that simple that having figured it out, you can help everyone else in the world figure it out, there'd be one book with all of the truths.
The
You
book,
just do
Book
these
of Truth.
things to get these results, and that is not the case.
It's the
So I
Book
think
of
that
Mormon.
the Book of Mormon is the truth you're looking for. I think that's the biggest indication that nothing will work for everyone, and it's nuanced.
Definitely. Was there anything from Martha Beck? I do. There was some great stuff on there.
I
Obviously,
think
yeah.
that
You want to
deserves
land?
its own episode.
Okay, great. Yeah. Well, then anything else? Let me see. I did have a. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, just finding the humor in it. Don't take this shit so seriously. Like, remind myself that trying to. I just try to watch funny stuff. Try to remind myself that this is a blessing. It's an absolute freaking blessing. And also let out the frustration when it needs to be let out, because it's not an easy road, but trying to marry these two. Because that's it. Like, it's not easy, but it's a blessing. So like that's why you gotta have humor in life. Like, it's not supposed to be easy. No one ever said it was gonna be easy. And we're all going at it. And when it gets so serious, which it will from time to time, definitely has for me, cry about it. Like, crying feels so good. It usually turns into laughter. It's We gotta let out the emotion and just like see the humor in this whole matrix that we're in, like you were saying, this right now, this period of my life does feel like a glitch in the matrix. And that's, on one sense, that's why it feels so real. Because I'm like, it feels like I'm finally tapping into like reality and myself in the world, like seeing things from this weird perspective of, I don't even know, of like, why, just questioning like why we're doing this stuff and why I'm doing it. But then that's also why it's quite overwhelming at times and like very difficult, because it's like I'm out of the. I just feel like a glitch. I feel like a glitch right now, and yeah, it gets the better of me sometimes, but it's also helping me see like this whole thing. It's got to be laughed at. This whole game.
Well, keep doing you, my friend, because the programmers haven't updated the backend source code that is going to remove the glitch and replace it with your dream life. And that's just
Ah,
one thing I'll say in closing is the amount of times that you will feel miserable, like a failure, worthless, enter any terrible emotion on the path to pursuing your dreams is quite frequent. But you
mm-hmm.
also feel those things in equal or greater amount if you're doing something you hate. So you might as well couch all of that within the pursuit of a goal that really lights you up, because when you get to the other side of that chasm, it is glorious. And there will be
Mm.
another chasm coming up that you'll fall into, but I can't imagine going back to a life where I wasn't so fired up and excited and filled with purpose about what it is that I get to do for most of my waking hours.
Dude, that's the dream. The dream is picking your own problems, choosing your battle. Like, it's not going to be easy anyway. Anyway you tie the shoe, you're still tying the shoe. Um, but like, yeah, to have worthwhile problems makes life meaningful. And actually, listen to another Alan Watts yesterday of like, they're not problems, just like perceiving things as problems or like a meaningful adventure. It's a Haitian proverb. What's beyond those mountains? More mountains.
Oh
I keep
boy. All
climbing.
right. All right.
That's
I
it.
love you, my man. I love everyone tuning in to listen with us today. We love you guys so much. Thanks for being here.
Love you, buddy, and love you all. Thanks for bearing with us. Oh, yes, you mean Asai.